Okay. I'm choking over here, Anna.
You're doing a great job.
All right. So at any rate, you can't get enough of watching Ann, right?
I'm obsessed.
Yeah. You're going to watch every one of her getting in the water like you've never seen it before. It feels like the first time. And the
And
song
also, I love her dogs.
oh, well, she tells the story about that. You want to hear the story?
Oh, there they are in Santa outfits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She and her husband,
Oh my gosh, she's fly fishing in a Santa outfit in
Yeah,
the freezing cold.
this woman is enjoying life. And when I'm telling you, girl next door, like kind of best friend, if you live next to her, that's the vibe you get off of her.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So when right before I interviewed her, I said, I got to come up with music for her. And I'm sorry, Bill, you're going to have to cut this out of the video.
Sorry, Bill.
But there was, I went, God, I need to come up with a song for her. And this is the song I came up with. Bill, you're going to have to cut this out. So that was Ann's lead-in music. And I went, wow, we were talking about Foreigner last week, and here they are. I'm using a Foreigner song that works. And of course, it would not be a complete podcast. I closed it out with Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to put Vanilla Ice in there. You can't go home without Vanilla Ice.
Bill's going to have some things to do.
Yeah. So we'll cut it off before we play that. But I'm not gonna play Vanilla Ice. I'm not gonna screw Bill over that much.
Today we're recording, and it is St. Patrick's Day, a holiday that I don't celebrate, and I don't think you do either. But I think we've decided we are.
Well, Anna, a week later or 2 weeks later comes the St. Joe altars, and the Italians would do the St. Joe altars, which is all sugars, all grains. They would make these,
I live with one of those.
yeah, they would make these, the old Italians, my grandmother and all the old women with the babushkas and everything, they would make these incredible altars in town. And Donaldsonville had a big one at the St. Joe Society. And my grandmothers and aunts and everyone, my great grandma, they would make pastries for weeks and weeks and weeks before that. And they would, it's offered up to God. And then they have anybody that wants bread in town, any poor people or anything, they come and they take from the altar. And I wonder if they still do the St. Joe altar. Let me find out. Hang on, because you and I are going to do a little special St. Patty's thing. Let's see if they still do.
Should I go ahead and pour my whiskey?
No, we're not doing that yet. We got something else coming.
But I have to make the green whiskey.
Don't do that yet.
And then I have a regular whiskey in case the green whiskey doesn't turn out.
Yeah. Hey, Ma, are you there? Ma, can I bring you on the air? Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Hey, Marie, how you doing?
Hey, Anna, I'm doing great.
Good.
Ma,
I love to hear it.
I'm keeping up with what you're doing too.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much.
Ma, you got to turn the TV off in the background whenever.
All right,
No,
we're going to
just leave
tell
it
you,
on.
Daddy. Turn the TV off. I'm on the podcast. Okay.
Okay, Ma.
Turn the TV off.
Today is St. Patrick's Day, and
Yes.
Anna and I are getting ready to drink on the podcast. We're gonna, because that's what the Irish do. They get drunk on St. Patty's Day.
Okay.
so-
Wait, stop. Do you know that St. Patrick was an Italian?
Get out of here.
Is that just something that Italian people say?
This is like breaking news.
No, that is not breaking
It's
news.
breaking news to me. I'm an
Are
atheist.
you telling me he was Italian and the Irish culturally appropriated him? Because I'm going to cancel the Irish right now.
Yeah, we need to cancel the Irish. It doesn't
Well-
mean that we're not going to drink, Anna, but we'll cancel.
No, we'll still drink.
Yeah, we're going to drink.
I don't want to give any factual information, but
Oh, we don't want to either.
This morning I read St. Patrick was born in Italy.
Yeah, but was he of Italian descent or was he?
Yes, he was not Irish, babe.
What was his last name? Like
Man.
Guglielmo or something?
I would have to look it up and come
Patrizio.
back to you.
Yeah, Capelli or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I will tell you this. Ray Capone
Oh, wait, you were, hang on. You got this information from Ray Capone? Because if you
No,
did,
I
we
did
have to
not.
call it fake news.
No, it's not fake news.
Okay.
Ray Capone put a thing on Facebook. Did you guys know that St. Patrick was born in Italy? And I wrote back to him and I said, Ray, all these years, I just read that this morning. And yes, he was born in Italy.
Yeah, but Ma,
And-
okay, well, hang on.
You read the same thing though?
Yeah, they probably do. My mom and Ray Capone, they all read the same thing. They call them Capones down there. The rest of the world call them Capones. They're probably hiding from the rest of their family that was doing so.
Vinnie, don't you
Well, they're
know
not great at changing the name then.
Of course, I'm on my podcast right now, Mom. I
Well,
don't talk.
Ray Capone is one of my dear friends.
I know he is. I'm not saying he led a life of crime. I know Ray Capone is a good guy. The thing I'm asking is, was he an Irish person? Look, I've spent a lot of time in Italy, in England. You could be in England, you could be born there and be of Italian descent. Or, was he an Irish person that was born in Italy? Or that's what I'm asking.
No, I don't think so. I think he was he was born in Italy, if I remember this correctly. Born in Italy and then went to Ireland and stayed there, for all the things he did. The rest of the story is just like you knew as a child.
Okay, because now I'm questioning whether St. Francis was from Assisi, or I'm starting to question everything about the Catholic faith at this point.
Well, the Italians stole pizza from China, so come on, we're all doing things.
Yeah, I mean Marco Polo.
Yeah.
With each other,
yeah,
from each other.
Yeah, what's going on? So, Ma, the reason we're calling you is the one thing I do remember from childhood is after St. Patrick's Day, about a week or two later comes St. Joseph's Day.
No, darling, it's this weekend and your mother is a saint.
Yes.
Your mother, I will be a saint Sunday. And
Explain what that means, Ma.
Okay. On Saturday, our local St. Joseph Society, which is very strong in Donaldsonville, we're going to meet at Ascension Catholic Church, and we're going, the members, they do a procession around the church, say the rosary, come in for the 4:00 mass. And then after that, the St. Joseph Society, that's their mass for St. Joseph Day. And then on Sunday, we're going to go to the church hall I have to be there at 9:45.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the reenactment of No Place at the Inn, and then
Wait, that's Christmas, Ma. You guys are doing Christmas at Easter?
They're doing a whole review.
Oh, I see.
We do it, yeah, and then we do that.
How did you keep up with that, Anna?
I know what church performances are. My mom was a Methodist minister. I had to be in all of them. I know what's doing. I may not have been Catholic, but I know what's happening with church performances.
All right, and then after we do what we call it, the ritual. After we do the ritual on Sunday, the saints, and I think it's either 4 or 5 of us. I'm not sure of that.
Okay.
The altar is already made. They're putting it up. They're putting the finishing touches on it today and tomorrow, and it is absolutely gorgeous. They do a really, really good job of preparing the altar.
So Ma, the reason I called you is because I remember as a child where Joe Bonadonna ended up putting his health club in the St. Joe building. There would always be the altar, the St. Joseph's altar with all the bread, all the sugars and all the grains. And all the old Italians would work for weeks, just backbreaking work, making all that bread and Italian cookies and cannolis and everything. Do they still do that?
Yes, except with the bread, they go to a place in New Orleans and buy the breads.
So no one is making it anymore. So like when
no, no. Let me tell you the breads are still bought because that's really awesome time to make that. They go
Yeah.
to New Orleans.
But
and
you see,
buy that.
that's what I'm talking about. It's like kind of the breakdown of society. Nobody has time. You know, my generation gave it all up. You know, this was a big deal. I remember, you know, my grandmothers, your great grandmothers, Lena, all their family, everybody was always,
That's
you know,
right.
just hustling for weeks to make
And they
pastries and
still-
bread. And folks, if you don't know what a St. Joseph's altar, I'm sure you can Google this or go find some stuff. They literally make altars out of pastries that can feed a whole town.
And we will feed over 1,000 people Sunday.
1,000 people,
Whoa.
Anna, you know, and they do this, and
And
all
it's
these old,
all given away.
all of it.
Every piece of food. And also there is absolutely zero meat
Yeah,
on the altar.
Because it's a
No,
Lenten thing.
yeah, it's all bread, all bread.
Mhm.
No, it's not all bread, Vinny. It's the breads and it's the vegetables. There's gonna
Oh,
be
that's right. There's vegetables too. Anna.
you forgot the vegetables.
Yeah.
All of there's gonna be. Now we lost a very good Miss Lena Shaheen who lives down the street
Mhm.
from us.
Right.
We lost Miss Lena this year, but she
Oh.
was an authority
Yeah.
on knowing how to put the cooked things on the altar.
Yeah,
And
but you see, that's what I'm talking about, Ma. They're all dying off. You know, everyone's
but
dying off.
there are some younger ones in this. There are some younger women. I'm gonna tell you, Joanne Grisafi and her sister Fran
Mhm.
Hidalgo. They know a good deal about it because their mother, Miss Jenny Dato, was an authority on what the protocol
Right.
for what should go on the altar. And there's still plenty people who know what to do. I'm not one of those that knows everything. I know a little bit.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You get to be a saint.
Yeah, and my mom also, she was a Eucharistic minister. As much as I try to get people not to eat bread, she's shoving it in their mouth.
For the purpose of their spiritual savior.
And by the way, Ma, I'll tell you this before I let you go. Tell Daddy that his hat is on the way. He's going to have an NSNG hat like everyone else.
Oh, your daddy is
That's
going
right.
to be so happy.
Yeah.
Si, your NSNG hat is on the way. And I want to congratulate you on that, Vinny. Those hats look really nice.
I don't get
He's going to love that hat.
I don't get a congratulations on my movies, but I get Lola to make me a hat.
Mhm.
And Ma, don't thank me. You got to thank my girlfriend. Don't tell
Lola
Cynthia.
Jaguar.
Yeah, I got a girlfriend, Ma, and she's the one that designed the hat.
He doesn't have a
I
girlfriend.
I did not know who that was.
It's my Guma.
You don't have a
I
guma.
will tell you.
I got a
the
Guma.
The
You
hat
don't have a
is
guma.
I got a
really
Guma.
good. And people have accepted it because I read Facebook to see what they say about you.
Yeah.
Do you
And
take, Marie, do you take screenshots?
No, she doesn't know how to do that.
Oh,
no, I
Yeah.
don't.
do you
I
copy it down?
No, she just
No,
she doesn't do
I
anything.
just
She just
read
reads and
Okay, that's
she
that's
reads and
nice.
moves on.
Oh, see, my mom used to read stuff and then be like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Don't write that. That's
Yeah,
offensive. Why do you write such
I'm-
offensive things?" I was like, "Because I'm your daughter."
you know what? I read. A lot of people say nice things about Vinny, and then when they say ugly things, I'm going, I wonder if this is true. And then I'll ask.
What's he been keeping from me all these years?
Yeah. You know, I
Oh,
always tell Ma, is it true that if you hadn't gotten married, you would have become a nun?
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom almost became a nun. And you know how
No, I didn't.
Ma, I'm going to leave you with this. You know how to get a nun pregnant, right?
No, Vinny,
Say
I
it.
don't want to know.
You know, you got to fuck her.
You gotta fuck her.
Vinny, I don't know
Wait, I
where
hit the wrong
I
button.
went. I will tell you this unequivocally on the air
Yeah.
so America can know. I don't know where I went wrong with you, but I do.
It's not your
believe-
fault, Mari. You can't. It's not your fault. Something
No.
happened
No, I
after he
know.
left home.
Anna,
Yeah.
our children are only loaned to us. And what they do is their responsibility.
There you
Oh my,
go.
come on. Did I turn out that badly? I'm not that bad, am I?
No, not
Depends on how
really.
many nuns you
Some
got
of the
pregnant.
some of the things you come up with, Vinnie, that's terrible.
I know, but out of all your sons, who makes you laugh the most?
You and Mark.
Come on, Mark. She couldn't just give me
No.
credit by myself.
No, there's a Venn diagram and it's a circle
Well,
and
you
it's you and
said-
Mark, just one circle.
I said the most, not the first and second. Now let me ask the question again. Out of all your kids, who makes you laugh the most?
You, and you're also the one, if I want to know what happened in the past.
Yeah.
Now, Vinnie, do you want to say hello to your dad?
No. We got to go. We're running late. we're running way behind. All right. All right. Love you, Ma. Tell him I said. Tell him his hat's on the way.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
All right. There they go. Yeah. You get my
There
dad
they
on the phone,
go.
he can't hear, and he'll just start talking.
Oh no, he'll just start talking.
Yeah,
By the way,
yeah.
I have to tell you on the air.
Mhm.
I talked to my dad. I hadn't talked to him in a while. I
Yeah.
told you this a little bit of this off the air, but I have to share this because maybe I said it on the Clubhouse. We always talk about how we're doing this NSNG thing and
Mhm.
how we live our lives, and that's not how everybody else wants to live their life, especially your family, right? And you're
Right.
talking about your family member last week, hopefully coming to stay with you.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. We can talk about that. But so I'm talking to my dad, and he says now he's 81. He works. He retired for 2 months and his back hurt. So he immediately went back to work. And
Yeah.
he's the kind of guy that all he does is stuff for other people. And he brings business to the state of Alabama and to the impoverished communities in Alabama. And he works for less than minimum wage. He doesn't care. He just wants to be out of the house and working. So this is a very educated man too. He dug onions with his hands to pay for his college to get a PhD. Okay. But you tell him about anything that we're doing and he thinks it's just nuts. Okay. So he called and he said, well, I got my, this is Dr. Vocino. They gave me an A1C. It wasn't good. They
Yeah.
said it was pre-diabetic. I said, what'd they say it was? I don't know. Okay. Well, it must have been somewhere between 5.7 and 6.4. Do you remember?
Right.
Does that ring a bell? No, they didn't tell me. Okay. Well, so what did they tell you to do? I have to cut down on my sweets and my carbs. And I was like, okay, well, how's that going? And he said, he's basically decided what he's going to do is he's going to split the fries instead of having his own fries. He's going to split the fries with my stepmother instead of having his own fries.
Well, that's a start.
And I was like, well, what if you don't listen? It's a start. It is. And I was like, that's amazing. But here's what I did though, is I said to him, I was like, that's cool. I get it. And he's going to try to cut back on the sweets and stuff. And listen, he's not a big guy. You know what I mean? He's like, he has kind of a little paunch. He's 81 years old. He gets around just fine. He's in great health. He had a little health scare during pandemic, but other than that, he's really in perfect health.
Yeah.
And to be 81, to have your first number come back, to eat the way that he does. And by the way, they eat at fast food all the time.
The seed oils, the crap. Oh,
in fact, my stepmother said at the beginning of the conversation, because I was asking what it was like, the COVID temperature in Alabama. What is it like there? Y'all going, do you go to restaurants? What do you do? Because I want them to be careful because my stepmother's very immunocompromised. And I was like, y'all just be careful when you go back to church and yada, yada. And just because of her and because once I went through it and I am 30 years younger than she is, I was like, this is going to be rough on somebody who's really immunocompromised, who's also old. Anyway, so I was just trying to, and she said, well, they're not a lot of restaurants are reopened. And then she goes, DQ, dining room's closed. Hardee's, dining room's closed. Rallies, dining room's closed. Jack's, dining room's closed. And I was like, oh my God, McDonald's, dining room's closed. You have to go through the drive-thru. I was like, how many fast food places have you been to the past week? And then she did comment. She goes, that doesn't sound very good. It doesn't sound like we eat at very good places. I was like, well, You're right.
Yeah, no, that all sounds horrible.
But I said to my dad, I said two things. I was like, first of all, you're going to have to order the lettuce wrapped because he's splitting the fries, but he's still having the bun on the burger.
Right.
So I said, why don't you try ordering the lettuce wrapped? And he's like, he's not going to do that. And I was like, but here's the thing. Don't go to McDonald's because their lettuce wrap burger is not going to be good at all. Maybe pick some place that has a decent burger. And if you have it lettuce wrapped, it'll taste better.
Right.
Then you'll be more excited to have the burger because the meat's better. You know what I mean? And it was just a whole conversation. And I said, I tell you what, try the moderation thing. And I said, Dad, when do they want you to come back to retest? I don't know. They didn't bring it up. Okay.
So he knows nothing. He
knows nothing or he heard nothing. It doesn't matter because it doesn't exist in his world.
Listen, he must have brought the paper home. They give you the paper.
That's what I said. What's the paper say? Did they email you the paper? Can you send it to me so I can look at it? No, they didn't give me anything. They just told me it was it was a bad A1C and it was pre-diabetic. And so I was like, I tell you what, try the moderation and you can call the office and you can say in 6 months, can I come back in and get my A1C tested? And they'll test it for you and you'll find out what it is and at least see if it's improved doing what you're doing or if it's staying the same or if it's getting worse. And he did agree. He's like, that's a good idea. I was like, okay, good.
Smartest man out there. You see, that's something.
The smartest and my stepmother.
People are the dumbest people when it comes to health.
My stepmother, well, wait for this. My stepmother teaches or taught anatomy, physiology, cell biology, and microbiology. She discovered a new male hormone in mice in the 80s. This is not a dumb couple. This is a very smart set.
That's what I know. You know, I always say, look, I worked with two CEOs, two Fortune 400 companies. People are, wait, Vin, don't you mean the Fortune 500? No, this is the Fortune 400. This is bigger than the Fortune 500.
Right.
This is a more elite group. I've worked with two of those CEOs, both morbidly obese over the years. And, you know, these guys are genius level people.
Right.
The thing that, the problem with those people is they outsmart themselves.
Well, that's what I said to my stepmother. Because I was like, she was the one who told me in the late 80s, she said, eat more protein with every meal. Protein is what will keep you full longer. So we know it's really fat, but at least she was on the right track with it.
Right.
She said the breads and stuff were not good to eat. And now that it's all turned around, and by the way, they both think I'm nuts for eating this way. They just think it's absolutely crazy.
Right.
And I'm like, this is what I have to do for my health. It's okay. Like if you don't have to do it, but you see people like my stepmother really suffers with lupus. She's had rheumatoid arthritis since she was 18. She has false knuckles,
Right.
She has stenosis in the spine. Like she really suffers.
Mm.
And I just want, but and she was commenting on how, cause Lucy came to visit and how Lucy's really staying gluten-free. And I was like, yeah, you can really find things to eat everywhere. Like you really can, even if you're just doing gluten-free, not even grain-free. And, but it's just a different generation that's not open to it. And I'm just glad that my family member who's going through cancer right now is very open to it and talk to you. And thank you for doing that. I want to thank you on the air for helping my family out.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, everyone, when it's amazing how, as you know, I went to Brian Bishop, Bald Brian on the Adam Carolla show. I was with him last week and I said, hey man, and people who have gone through it and survived, it's not me. Every one of us will pick up the phone. Brian signed a book over, for your brother-in-law and his husband. And, I got to send that out. But is that sort of thing where people rally around, once you have cancer, you are in an elite fraternity and your responsibility, if you will, is to help other people get through their situation. As a matter of fact, St. Patrick's Day, we're having a drink.
Yeah,
we haven't done it yet, but we're going to toast your brother-in-law and his husband because they are going through it. They're getting ready to go through it. And he's
already had a giant brain tumor removed from his head, and now he's about to go into treatment.
And I had Irish whiskey, but we put the final strip in the bottom of my kayak last week, and I brought it with me because they call it the whiskey strip. And when we put it in, you're supposed to toast, and I brought it so we could take a video. Cool. So I don't have any Jamesons here, but I do have my, people always ask me what I drink. This is one of them. This is Talisker, one of my favorites. The Talisker always has a little peat to it. It's enough peat to where Serena doesn't smell it coming through my skin and she doesn't complain. So this is Talisker.
You smell like an Irish bog.
You sound like a drunk. You smell like a drunk. Now I'm choking and I'm not even drinking yet.
Wait, I'm going to try this. Tori brought in some powdered spirulina to dye my whiskey green, and I think it's going to taste terrible.
No, there's no way that's going to taste good.
Look, I have a little spoon.
I wouldn't put that much. You putting that much? Oof.
It's not that much.
All right.
Like
I didn't realize Tori was
razor.
at your house.
She is. She's at the house.
By the way, folks, Talisker Storm, it's a few bucks less expensive. I'm not going to say cheaper, less expensive than Talisker 10. And I do think it tastes as good or better. So if you want to save some money, yeah, but is it going to taste good, Anna? That's the question.
No, it's not. Hey, what do they put in the river in Chicago River? It turns the whole river green.
They just put dye because they it's just a dye that won't hurt.
Is that good?
Probably not.
Look, I have green whiskey.
All right, here's to the Italian Saint Patty.
Here's to that greasy guinea.
Yeah, that wop. Cheers. And wait, hang on. And
that's not bad with the spirulina in it, and I'm being so healthy.
Here's to George. He's getting ready to go to chemo. And
and here's to you for helping him out. Thank you.
I didn't do anything. It doesn't take anything for me to talk to these guys. But here's to George and Justin. You guys are going to be just fine.
Yep. Woo! It burns.
By the way, right before the podcast, George had called in to Serena, to my other Serena. Her name is Anna.
Yes, that's right.
And he was sitting there eating heavy cream, whipped heavy cream with strawberries. He's really, he's embracing low carb.
Yep.
Having a bit of a time because this is a guy, he was like, we call it, speaking of Lynette earlier, Lynette Carolla effect. He was the type of guy who can eat anything he wanted. He was always ripped. But now he knows he needs to eat this way because he wants to not have that cancer grow back.
Yep.
They removed the tumor. He's got to have chemo. And am I saying too much? Did I go?
No, we're good, I guess.
Good, right?
I think they've posted on Instagram. Their friends know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
their family knows. They've been hit hard. His dad died last week. Like it's just
when he told me that, he was like, my dad, he called me and he goes, yeah, he just had the tumor removed. He goes, and my dad died. And then didn't the dog die?
No, the dog's okay, but the dog ate a toy and had to have the surgery. But then somebody else close to them died. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I was like,
it's one of those things that you go through in life. Everybody has a couple of those times in their life where you just went through it. They're going through it right now.
When he was telling me that, it was like if a woman had left in your favorite pickup truck, it would have been a country song.
Right.
You know, it was that sad. And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking to myself when I'm talking to George, and you're upright. You know, I'm not having a bad day.
So he's the most positive human being.
It's the most amazing thing. It's like your dad died. You just had a tumor removed. Your dog is almost died.
And he has a full head of hair.
Yeah, well, that saves everything.
Well, that's the whole thing that we were talking about. Because I've talked about George on the podcast many times. I've always been like, Vinnie, let me show you my brother-in-law. He is a chiseled, hot, gorgeous man.
Yeah.
He's 55.
Yeah.
And I see him eat ice cream and drink Cokes.
Yeah.
And he said,
it makes no sense. It doesn't mean that
to me, he goes, you know what? It's all genetics. My dad, he does work out because my dad was even more chiseled at my age.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that he's not getting cirrhosis of the liver and all that kind of stuff, because that happens to those people. Non-alcoholic.
We don't know. We don't know. That's the thing.
Right. But he more power to him. Anna, what are we talking about today?
Well, I'll tell you, but I will say this. He is the family member who was like, when I started saying, hey, listen, are you open to doing this? Vinny's great to talk to. Are you open to going NSNG? We have the PDF. And I just floated that. So if you guys are listening and you feel like you want to bring this up to family members, just float it and say, hey, are you open to this? I'll send you a link to a PDF. And if they say no, you have to stop. I was ready to stop if they said
Right.
no.
Yeah. Look, they're going through a lot. They are.
But
When
they
I
said, yes, we'll try anything.
I talked to Justin maybe a day or so after the surgery and
Mhm.
all
It
that
was
kind of
rough.
stuff. And it, it was rough. I was at that convention and I'm feeling for those guys. So more power to you. Anna,
Okay. You're going to talk about Expo West, I hope.
yeah. Andy and I covered it a little bit. Have you ever been to Expo West? Just to
I
walk around?
haven't. I saw the photos and it gave me anxiety. There were so many people there. It felt like a lot happening.
Well, I want you to know that everything at Expo West is being reinvented and reimagined.
They like that.
Oh, everything, every booth, pasta reinvented, pasta reimagined.
See, I have a hard time with that kind of marketing speak because I'm just like, oh, I just do sauces and they're just really good sauces. It's not reimagined. It's not reinvented.
And
It's just really good sauce.
there was a guy directly across the aisle from us. Now, we were in the what's hot section because, we were there with our ultra fat.
Right.
It's taken the world by storm to the point where we can't even fulfill our orders, folks. We're about a week behind now. We were like 3 weeks or a month behind. We're catching up fast. We have people working around the clock. When you make a product that everyone loves and is very popular, I tell people, they go, well, why should I order now? It's like, get in now. You want to get in now because this product has really consumed us.
It's so good. It is going to sweep the nation. You guys need to be ready.
I'm not quite sure we will ever be ready for what's happening to ultra fat because the people. All right, let me talk about.
Okay.
We're on one side of the aisle and we're selling a product. It's gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
It's vegan.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually keto. It's all natural. We have nothing but natural organic almond butter, natural organic coconut oil,
right?
Natural organic, vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, of course, organic and natural. My Ultrasol, this stuff right here. I own this company.
I just ordered 2 bottles of that. Yeah. They're on the way.
So
I'm ready for summer, baby.
We have all of this stuff going on. And we put it all in one product. And our product is completely natural. There were there's over 3,000 vendors there. Now, I didn't go to the end of the hall where they're selling bro science pills and all this kind of crap, Yeah. That's a whole different wing. But we're in the 2 floors that is everything brand new, the hot stuff, right? So everybody's there. Whole Foods is there. REI is there. Everyone is the only
perfect for REI.
Oh yeah. It's the only people I saw besides us with a natural product. Wait, that was a few more, but was right across the aisle from us, directly across.
Mm-hmm.
The guy was selling pie. And it simply said, we use whole sugar, we use whole wheat, and we use organic vegetables. I'm sorry, not vegetable, fruit. That's it. And I looked over there and I said, that's a product that's not, and butter. I'm sorry, that was the 4th ingredient, butter.
Yeah.
Real butter. I looked across, I said, Andy, I've been walking these halls for 3 days. Whenever I take a break, I'd walk around, right? I said, that's the only guy in the whole building. I don't agree with this product because I don't eat desserts, right? I'm not going to eat a sugar and grain product. I said, that's the only guy besides us that's not lying. Now, I will tell you this. This woman, I was walking out one day and this Asian woman, I hear my name, Vinnie. And I turn around, there's an Asian woman. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name. I'm a big fan. Tell Anna I love her. I can't get enough of you guys. And I said, oh, are you just walking around? Do you have a booth? She goes, we have a booth. And they sell a natural, water in a can, so it's soda water with an essence.
Like a bubbly kind of thing?
Yeah, bubbly. It was a great product. It's some Asian fruit. And when I was gone, she brought a couple of 3 or 4 cans to me and Andy. I tried it. I looked at it. There was no, I wish I can remember the name. I would give her a free plug right now.
Oh man. If you're listening, ping me. I'll remember it. I'll give you a
Ping
shout out the
Anna,
next time.
and then we'll give you a shout out the next time. The product was actually, it was delicious. And at the end of the day, I went, oh, what's this? Let me give it a shot. And it was refreshing. Very, very few products there. There was this really, really hot blonde. And she's, a lot of people are standing in the aisle. They got the yoga pants on with the bippy top and the whole thing. She goes, sir, would you like to try? And I'm walking through, no. Okay, you're super hot. And it's such a tiny, and it's like a toothpick in it and such a tiny piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, what do we have here? And she goes, it's a peanut bar reimagined. Oh, thank you. And I take the toothpick and I put it in my mouth and I go, oh my God, it's so good. Thank you. And
oh my God, it tastes so reimagined.
Yeah. Could you come back to my room later? We can reimagine an old guy with a very young hot chick. So, and that would be wrong. Serena probably wouldn't,
she might not be on it, so having it.
Yeah. So I didn't say that part, but I thought it. And, because most guys do. And, I walked away and it's in my mouth and now I'm biting into it. It only took 2 bites and I swallowed it. And it was that immediate taste of fake,
metallic-y.
And I'm like,
ready to crap your pants later.
Well, but it was such a tiny piece. And I didn't, and as it's going down, like I could hear my stomach gurgling and I'm like, how would anyone eat a whole bar of this? How would anyone? It just makes no sense.
People do.
Andy took a picture of one of, it was vegan tuna fish.
No.
In a can. And, this is no meat. This is no, it was flakes of tuna fish.
Nope.
In the can. We talked about it, folks. Go back to last Wednesday's show. We talked about it. It was crazy. Everything.
I am not having that.
Anna, if you think that, the meat, like the Beyond Impossible and all that,
I've never had a Beyond Impossible.
Beyond Burger, Impossible meat, the whole thing.
No, I've just never had them.
And if you think they've stopped there, you should see the chicken and fish vegan food that's coming out. It's going to all be coming right at you, folks.
It'll be on the shelves at Whole Foods within the next 4 months because of Expo West.
Because of Expo. It's all there. That's all it was. Everything was vegan, reimagined.
Yeah.
Meat, reimagined. Chicken, reimagined. Andy saw one, hearts of palm, reinvented. Reinvented hearts of palm. But
they already do the hearts of palm pressed into noodles.
Yeah, but this is just hearts of palm, reinvented.
But why do you want just hearts of palm? Nobody wants to eat hearts of palm. It's not 1984 and we're having salads at the Ivy. Like no one cares about hearts of palm.
I saw a guy, handing out samples of soft serve, and it was. Of course, I didn't try it because there was no way. But they put real sugar in it, and it was cashews, mushed up into like an ice creamy type thing. And I'm looking at it. I just walked up. I got to see what this is. It's nothing but sugar and cashews. It's like carb on carb crime. And I'm like, wow. And they're going the healthier way to, the vegan way to enjoy ice cream. I'm going, man, you guys are trying to kill these vegans way quicker than they need to die.
I got to say, as somebody who has been told to avoid dairy, I feel like I've had a bite of every single vegan cheese, vegan ice cream. What's the other kind? The vegan butter, the vegan cream. Like I've tried all of the products. I have a couple that work, but for the most part, they're all junk and they taste horrible. And I do know from knowing somebody who was a sales director for a vegan ice cream, it was a hell of a market to get into. So to hear somebody going into soft serve, which is even harder than at least the hard frozen ice cream, how are you going to do vegan soft serve? Like you'd have to go into it just sounds like a terrible business model. Like Mr. Wonderful says, take that out back and shoot it because that's just not good.
And I remember when I still lived in New Orleans and, I would go to the gym and, I was trying to hit on these chicks and the whole thing. And there was this kind of hippy dippy chick. And we went down to the down on Magazine Street in uptown New Orleans, this health food place. She was like, yeah, let's go over there, broski, and the whole thing. And I'm like, all right, I really want to get in your pants. So I guess I got to go. And so we go over there, and she's like, and I'll never forget the name of this product. She goes, let's get a Vitari cone. And I'm like, what? And we're talking like 1984.
I would think you meant an Atari game system.
No,
you meant a Vitari?
it was like Vitari. And I'm like, what's that? She goes, oh my God, it's so delicious and it's better than ice cream. It was like a soft serve of like fruit, I guess, mixed with sugar. It was just fruit and sugar and ice. And they swirled it out of a soft serve. And I remember eating it thinking, wow, this is sweeter than a popsicle. But I ate about half of it. And when I got down to the cone, I've had enough. She goes, oh, you didn't like it? I went, no, it's good enough. I almost went into a sugar coma. It was like, oh my God, this is like just straight sugar. Right. And even back then, I was into, I didn't want to gain weight. I wasn't a big sugar consumer and the whole thing. I was like, this is straight sugar. There's nothing else here. It was just sugar whipped up into some kind of crap.
I just Googled it. It is.
Is it still around?
I don't think so.
So I'm not wrong about.
Here's an article from the Sun Sentinel in 1989 that says, newest on the fruit scene is Vitari, a soft serve dessert that is largely whipped fruit juice, mostly apple or pear, plus gums, flavors, and colors from natural sources such as beets.
Yeah. So I'm not making it up. Like I never forgot.
It's like a fruit soft serve.
Yeah. It's funny when you want to get into a girl's pants, like you don't forget stuff. It's like I'm trying to hit this hippy dippy chick, and it's like, oh, Vitari. And by the way, I'll never forget, I'm at this place. It was like a Mrs. Gooch's type place. Mrs. Gooch's, folks, if you're not old enough, that's what Whole Foods became. Whole Foods bought up all the Mrs. Gooch's. And New Orleans had a well-rounded section of Mrs. Gooch's type places. And she goes, oh, let's grab lunch. And I'm like, all right. And I'm thinking I could get myself, some meat here of some sort. Oh, no. We had brown rice with tofu that they kind of scorched up on the grill, little tofu.
Yeah, they seared
like
it.
the size of dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they did that. And then she said, here, put this. And I went, well, what do we put on this? And she goes, tahini sauce. And so, and I'm like, I just ate a bowl of rice and tofu and tahini. And that's when I knew, like in 1984, I'm like, vegans what are they doing? They think this is healthy. There's no protein here. I was built like a brick shit house. I'm like, you can't feed your muscles on this. It's nothing but sugar. There's nothing.
You can feed your estrogen and your phytoestrogen on more estrogen.
And I remember even talking to her about this. And I said, where's the protein? Well, there's a lot of protein in rice. I went, no, this is a carbohydrate, but it's a complex carb. That's the good carbs. That's the slow burning carbs, the ones your body wants. This woman was giving me information. I'm like sitting there going, you do realize I know a little something about this. Yeah.
She was just spouting off what she had heard from the trainer and the news and the Oprah and whatnot.
And by the way, I never slept with that patchouli wearing bitch. And, but boy, I did get myself all carved up that day. Oh boy, I'll never forget that as long as I live. Yeah, there's certain things in your life. Vitari brought me back to that moment.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, you've had Vitari. I've never had Vitari, but we wanted to ask you. Every week, I want to ask you about a certain kind of food, maybe like a processed food from my childhood.
Yeah.
I want to see
whether I've had it or not.
Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Vinnie, have you ever had steakums?
Never heard of it even.
Okay.
So the answer to that one is, wait, is there a drum roll? Hang on. Let me see here. rim shot. Yeah, here we go.
Vinny, well, that's like a joke. It's a joke that you've never had steakums.
I don't have drum roll here. Why
No,
don't I have
well,
drum roll on this thing?
no drum roll. There's
I
no
do
drum
have
roll on the
this.
Roadcaster. You have to find one and program it in. So good luck with that.
Let's see, I can do this. No, what is steakums?
Steakums were a frozen meat product that looked like pressed roast beef, very thin, that you would heat up and turn it into like a meat sandwich, like a Philly cheesesteak or like a Arby's type of sandwich.
Okay. So it's
I don't
meat.
even know if it was real meat in there.
Can we look it up? I'd like to know what it
we'll
is
look it
now. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
And by the way, Anna, when you do these
They
every
might still
week,
sell them.
when you do this every week, it's gonna always be a real food, right? It's not like
Yeah.
when you bring up the diets and you go, "Hey, is Centaur?"
Oh, like
diet?
yeah, like Zoe,
Yeah,
which Zoe is a real diet.
All right, so no, every week you're gonna bring one of these up, and folks, you can tweet.
They
Anna.
still sell steakums.
Okay.
Wow.
What's in a steakum? What is it?
It says it's 100% beef. I don't think it was back in the 80s. It's sandwich steaks. It's just like frozen, thinly sliced meat, like pressed meat.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then you heat it up and put it into a sandwich.
Okay, so it's just is it cooked or you have to cook it? Is it pre-cooked?
I think it might be pre-cooked and then you just heat it up in the pan.
Yeah, until today, I never heard of a steakum. Folks, let
Right.
Anna Vicino know every week on Twitter.
It just says the ingredient is Angus beef, but I can't believe that they wouldn't put any sort of sodium or chemicals on there.
Who knows? Have you
Who
ever
knows?
had steakums?
Oh yeah.
Did it taste like it had
Oh, yeah.
sodium and flavor or something?
My mom worked 10 jobs. I never saw her. So when she was able to go to the store, she would buy things like that I would microwave. And I remember watching Julia Child because I was only allowed to watch PBS when I was a kid.
Right.
And I would watch Julia Child and or The Frugal Gourmet because they were on one right after the other in the afternoon.
Right.
And then sometimes I would sneak the TV and change the channel and watch Brady Bunch, but I got in trouble for that one time. And so I would watch those and I would be like, oh my God, I want to make what they're making with like fresh food and real meats and real things. We didn't have anything in our pantry that even resembled what was in the Frugal Gourmet or Julia Child's pantry.
Wow.
And so for me, it was actually it was my stepmother who, for the first time, she had a Southern Living magazine, and I was able to look through it and say, I saw a recipe, and I remember asking her when I was 8 years old, "Can I try to make this? Will you?" And she helped me make it. And my mom and I did bake things together. My mom liked to bake,
Right.
so I learned baking skills from her. But she wasn't a savory. She wasn't that.
Yeah.
Woman.
No,
She was working, and I'm not kidding. She worked 12-hour days and then came home and taught piano for another 3 to 4 hours every night. Like she worked trying to pay the bills. So I can't be mad at her.
No,
And
no,
I went and learned
I
it
get
myself anyway, because I worked for a catering company and that's how I learned to cook.
I did not realize how lucky we were. Both of my parents
You guys are,
worked.
yeah, you're really lucky.
And what they did was they figured, okay, we can make more money. And if we both work, and then we'll hire, Rosalie, who worked for us for all of those years. And basically she would come in and just clean up, like make the beds and that kind of, and make, a portion of the dinner. My mom would actually come home and finish making the dinner.
Right.
My grandmothers would also make these stews that would come over and the whole thing. Because everyone lived right there.
Yeah.
We almost had like the Tortorich compound of a bunch of poor people that all pitched in. And we were raised by a village of
That's
families.
nice.
And I never realized how good we had it. We didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But, there was no extra to go around because my parents insisted on us going to private school and they had to pay full freight for 4 boys. And
Right.
so we were broke because of education. And, between Rosalie and my grandparents and everyone pitching in, we ate like kings. And I never realized that.
Mm-hmm.
Every night there was a protein. It was either fish or chicken or meat or pork or whatever. And
That's pretty
there
good
was
for
like,
not having many bucks. 'Cause
yeah, potato.
There were
and
many
rice
times we
with it
didn't
and
have a
extra
protein.
vegetable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a full meal every night.
Mm-hmm. That's
That
nice.
that woman you heard earlier tonight, the woman who's a saint, they're making her a saint this week. What
She
they
made it
pulled
happen.
off, what they pulled off as a matter of fact, I remember talking to my mom and I said, wow, you guys really hustled. You know, in the summer when, you know, they would take summer jobs, even though school teachers got paid. My dad would go and work at a plant. And I remember one summer he worked driving a tractor with a bush hog, that kind of thing, where he just cut grass all summer with this big tractor with a bush hog that they gave him at a plant. And he would come home sunburned every day. You know, to sunburn an Italian, it takes a lot.
It takes
And you know, it's you know, I would watch this and I didn't, you know, I asked my mom, I said, man, putting four boys through private school and the whole thing. And she says, oh, the biggest expense was trying to feed you guys.
yeah.
And they fed, you know, we had
Boys eat
eggs for
so
breakfast, we
much.
had sausage, we had bacon, we had meat every night. You know, I didn't realize how lucky we were. And man, I do really appreciate those people. That's why I have no problem sending my dad a hat that cost me about $10.
Right.
Yeah. So, or 20. I don't even know what these hats cost me. I know I didn't make money on them. That's for damn sure.
Well,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about omega-6 right now, or do you want to call it? Because we have to talk about Villa Capelli and
Let's save that for another show. But folks,
okay.
let Anna know every week about, you know, crazy products like Steakum, or it could be.
Yeah, what's something that you grew up eating? Tweet at us, and I'll.
Like I've heard like the name Hot Pocket. I've seen.
I've never had a Hot Pocket.
I've never had a Hot Pocket. So send it. I've never had a Devil Dog. I thought Coddington was making that name up.
Have you had a fudge sickle?
Yes, I did. I've had many a fight sickle when I was a kid. Do they still make those?
They do.
I'll tell you some things I have had. So I've never had anything like a Steakum or a Hot Pocket. We know that I never had a Jello mold, although I had Jello.
Right, you hadn't had the congealed salad.
Right, the congealed salad. I did eat a Pop-Tart at some point, right? But it wasn't anything that came into our house. I have had fight sickles. I've had popsicles. I've had, you know, ice cream of all sorts. So that kind of stuff, don't even ask about it. Like the normal treats you would give a kid, like a fight sickle or ice cream or whatever, we have that. The things we're looking for are things like Devil Dogs, Hot Pockets.
Or maybe even like regional specialties.
Like we didn't have Devil Dogs, but we had Little Debbie.
It's very close.
And I'm sure that I had a
Very
Little
close.
Debbie at some point, but that wasn't something my mom would normally buy.
Right.
So think about what I've said, the things I've had, and bring up other stuff, and we'll see if I've had it.
You know, it's interesting after having eaten NSNG for so long, and then I realized recently that even as a kid, I never liked pancakes with maple syrup. It always grossed me out. It was too sweet. I didn't understand why anybody would want to have all that sugar. It made my stomach hurt in the morning.
Yeah.
And I also hated cereal in the morning. Again, because it was that thing where it's like, oh, my stomach hurts. Like I just didn't like it. And but you look at it, because that's what you did. You had a bowl of cereal and you went to school and that was it.
Right.
And then you were starving by 10:30.
I'm saying right, but we had bacon and eggs, yeah.
You had bacon and eggs. We did not have that. My mom left for work, so I made myself a bowl of cereal or a instant oatmeal or something like that.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember begging her for the instant oatmeal that had the little apples and cinnamon in it, and she was like, "No, you're going to have regular Quaker Oats because it was cheaper to buy it. Obviously, a big thing of Quaker Oats as opposed to buying the individual things." I was begging. I was like, "I had one of those at so and so's house, and it was so good." But you know, it was just a different thing, and you could look back at the pieces and go, "Oh, well, that's interesting." It's almost like my body instinct was like, "Yeah, you shouldn't have pancakes with syrup, probably ever, but definitely not first thing in the morning on an empty stomach."
I remember that.
Like I think about them and they make me feel nauseous.
That was such a once in a while on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, when my mom is home, because you know she went like overboard with the I have to show you guys I'm a good mother now, I guess. I didn't know it like that when I was a kid because they were home every day at 4 o'clock. And my parents, they took us on great vacations and everything. I don't know how in the hell they did it.
It was different back then, I will say.
Yeah, it was like we went on vacations, we would drive around the country and gas was,
Yeah.
25 cents. Um, but I do remember, I remember just the occasional pancakes. Like that was a big deal. We're going to make pancakes for you guys. And my dad was into it. My mom was into it. As you could tell,
Oh, it was. It's a whole thing. Like it's exciting to make
those
pancakes.
two
I get it.
they're attached at the hips. I've never seen a love like this ever. Right? It's like they're still like that. They're sitting right next to each other in identical lounge chairs,
I love it.
watching the television. When I called her, you can hear television blaring. And I'm telling you, my dad was there. He was into it, helping my mom. And you guys sit right there. I'm going to set this up and we're going to have pancakes. And it was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? You got to let the butter melt on it. We got to put the real maple syrup on it. And it was just like I didn't realize how good we had it.
Yeah.
I thought everyone lived exactly like that.
Or you thought everyone lived better because you were like, I guess everybody has it better than us. This seems.
Well, I just remember going over to
But
Jim's
then you realize how
house.
good it was. Yeah.
When I went to Jim's, like Jim was happy to come to my house because we had lasagna and pasta, and we had shrimp fettuccine, and
Yeah.
I would
I'm
go to Jim's
sure.
house and we would have steak. Now we had steak at my house, but it was very chewy. It was not like my mom would buy, like crappy cutlets and stuff like
The
that.
sirloin cutlets.
Yeah, the stuff that was
Yeah.
it was just chewy and a lot of sinewy stuff. You go to Jim's house, man, it was like thick. It was a ribeye. And I'm like, you mean all this is for me? I can eat this whole piece. I don't have to get it was amazing.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was just amazing. And Jim wanted to come to my house. I wanted to go to his house. It's like,
Well, that's always the truth with kids.
yeah, it's like I want to go to Jim's house. All right, Anna, let's talk about Villa Capelli and the best olive oil on the planet because I'm starting to feel tipsy.
Today is St. Patrick's Day as we're recording. This is coming out Monday. Today is Stephen Crutchfield's birthday. And he's just young and hot.
Today is
today.
Okay.
The 17th.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Stephen. You handsome, tall drink of water.
Take it easy, Anna. He's gay. He doesn't want what you got.
I'm going to change him.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to convert him.
You could put it down. He ain't picking it up.
I'll try though. I used Villa Capelli olive oil today because I roasted a chicken with my barbecue spice. And then I rubbed it all over with Villa Capelli olive oil and put that chicken in the oven.
Yeah.
It turned out perfect.
I know.
I use it to saute vegetables. I use it to make the salad dressings. And whenever I spill a little bit, I take it with my hand and I put it on my hands like hand lotion.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I actually do. I don't do the hair anymore because I don't have much hair. But my grandmother used to put it in not Villa Capelli. She'd put olive oil. She'd massage it. It felt so good.
Oh, I bet.
She would put it on her hands and massage olive oil into our scalps.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The old
Villa Capelli is the best olive oil on the planet. It's the best you're going to taste. And by the way, now all these bougie brands are really raising their prices. I told Steven he probably needs to raise his price, but he hasn't yet. So just get your hands on some before he does. Go to villacapelli.com. Jump in and order the 3-liter tin. It's absolutely amazing. Get the flavored oils, get their spices. I use their garlic powder too in almost everything. It's so pungent and so good. You only need a little bit. A little goes a long way. Use the discount code Vinnie, VINNIE, not with the wimpy Y. And you'll get 10% off your order each and every time you order. So do that. I have to stop talking soon because I'm going to start slurring my words.
Yeah,
I'm going to start slurring my words.
By the way, Anna, let me look at this real fast. I want to see where I am. All right. Okay.
You look good. What are you looking at?
Okay. As we record this, we're at like 70, 8 days on the year, 77 days on the year.
Woo! Where are you cardio wise?
I'm at 98 hours and 10 minutes.
Hell yeah.
You know,
You're
and
a badass.
I got to stay ahead of the game
Yeah.
because one of my other New Year's resolutions that I haven't mentioned yet, you know about the kayak,
Yep.
you know about the rowing, you know about
The hours.
the hours and everything
Uh-huh.
else. One of my New Year's resolutions is to get rid of Guam.
Are you doing it surgically?
Well, on Monday when this show comes out, it's a surgery, but I'm going visit because I visited this urologist at the beginning, right before COVID happened, and we talked, and I was going to go in,
That's right.
and then like the surgery was scheduled, and then COVID. It was like the early days of COVID, where it's like, if you got to
Ooh.
put stuff outside and spray it down and leave it for 2
Right.
weeks, and
We didn't know.
live, we didn't know. So I canceled the surgery. And then all through COVID, I was like, well, I'll just live with it, but it's become painful. And I'm visiting the surgeon on Monday, and it's an upcoming.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, this is going to be happening soon. So another one.
You need to keep us posted on the hashtag Guam update.
Yeah, I will. And that's going to be coming off soon. And I'm visiting the urologist again.
We will not miss Guam.
Folks, Anna Vicino has cookbooks out there. I talk to people all the time on the consults, and they go, "Hey, man, love Anna's cookbooks. They're great." I was talking
They
to.
are.
I'll tell you. You think I'm kidding about this? I'll give you some actual names. Hang on.
Okay, while you do that, I'm going to talk about the spices because we are today, Monday, they're actually making the spices. The spice blends that have been in development for over a year and a half, the taco seasoning, the dill ranch seasoning, the barbecue dust, which is what I put all over the chicken and roasted in the oven. They all are freaking amazing. They're all organic. None of them have any fillers. And I fought tooth and nail with other humans. I made enemies just so I could keep the standards where they need to be for these
Anna?
spices. Go to Eat Happy Kitchen, pre-order them.
I was talking to Alicia, AJ, and her husband. I'm not going to give their last name because they didn't.
Love it.
Oh,
Hey,
love
guys.
Anna's books. Tracy, love Anna's books. Michael.
Love you, Michael. Thank you.
Michael is also on Twitter. He writes to us all the time.
Great.
These are just 3 people in the past 2 days who, hey man, I'm all NSNG. I've talked to them all before. Love Anna's books, eat from Anna's books. They just wanted some touch-up stuff, because all the stuff starts seeping in.
Right. It does.
Like, wait again.
It does. Because you have a little bite here and a little bite there, and then it
Or
sneaks something up on you.
Exactly.
And by the way, I am designing a menu plan for George to get into deep ketosis, and I will write that down and post it at some point, because you can just pick you already have the books if you have the books.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I'm going to dial this in and get to that real like keto carnivore place.
Right.
And I'll put up the meal plan.
So there you have it. Go check out Anna Vicino's book. She also has the Eat Happy Kitchen. You want to go there for all, and I do mean all, of your sauce needs.
You know what? We're about to be sold out of the marinara, and I don't know when we're going to be able to make it, but we will have plenty of pink crema and puttanesca and plenty of spice. We got to focus on spices. Y'all need some spices.
The pink crema is my all-time favorite.
Yep.
I mukbanged it here on the show a couple of weeks ago. So go check that out. For me, before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com, click through the banner.
Yeah.
It puts coal on the fire and it gets my train down the track. So you want to do that. Also, we have the Superfan page. I see everyone every time on the Superfan page. So go check that.
Thank you, super fans. We love you and we appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's really a cool thing. So thank you guys for doing that. It helps pay for this show and I can keep it free.